Hello and welcome to another NihongoGamer video. Today is EVO Japan 2020 Day 1. It's EVO Japan in Tokyo, but it's actually happening in Chiba, which is actually what's going to happen with the Olympics as well. A lot of stuff is going to be happening in Tokyo, of course, but a lot of other things are going to be happening in Chiba, which is basically the prefecture like right next to Tokyo. Alright, I was gonna take a video with this sign saying Tokyo, EVO Japan, Tokyo 2020, but it's now a video of a bunch of adverts. Anyway, this is the venue. It's the same as Tokyo Game Show and like every other event I've ever shown you. Let's go in. Heading into the venue now, let's greet the man with the camera. We're going to hall number 6, right? Not like going to Tokyo Game Show, is it? You go to Tokyo Game Show, it's like 6 million people. It's so weird that Tokyo Game Show is not happening at the same time. Arriving now, hall 6 to 8. Looks like there's finally a sign that says EVO Japan. Looks like they've already started for the Sam Show pools and for Smash Brothers. I just signed up at the EVO Japan 2020 booth. I got a sticker and a calendar. Yay! パルツツアーのですね、ホームページを用意しておりますので、そちらの方に順次アップさせていただきます。Alright, for EVO Japan 2020, I think there were about 6 different games that you could enter in, and I was entered in for Street Fighter V and BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle. To be honest, I would say that my performance was a bit like when I do a live stream and I've like not quite woken up yet. And it's not that it was actually early in the morning when I played these matches, it's just that I don't think I'm quite into the whole tournament mindset yet. I'm mostly going to experience an event, a bit like, you know, experiencing an anime convention or Tokyo Game Show. So even though I'm not really at the level where I could be potentially winning a whole bunch of matches and possibly winning the whole tournament, I just wanted to get into the mindset of a person who'd be taking part in this event, getting nervous before the match, doing my best on the day, and then enjoying other aspects of the event afterwards. I have to admit that this time, even though while I was doing live streams in preparation, practicing for this tournament, I was like, you know, I'm sure I'm not going to win, so I'm not going to get too stressed about it. But on the day, I definitely felt a bit more nervous than I was expecting, because I could tell, because even though I didn't notice it at the time, after the match finished, I definitely thought to myself, okay, I was definitely pressing a lot of buttons, panicking, and when you press buttons and panic in the fighting game like this, your opponent can really take advantage of that and start a snowball that just rolls and rolls until the whole match is just completely over. Now I have to admit, in the couple weeks running up to the event, I didn't have a chance to really practice BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle, but I'm glad that I took part so I could experience what it was like to be a part of the pools. And even though I didn't do that well in my matches, taking part meant that I felt more invested in the game, and so when the grand finals were happening, I was like, I really wanted to watch it because those were the grand finals for an event that I took part in, so I felt a little more invested in it. And I think that's one of my main takeaways from this event. You can show up absolutely just to spectate, and I'm sure you'll have a grand time. But personally, I think if you want to get the most out of the event and really understand why people get so excited about it, it's worth just participating, even if you don't think you're fantastically good at the game, just so that you feel invested in the action and the story and what it takes to get to that top 8 and understand just how difficult it is, so that you have more respect and you're more awestruck by the exciting stuff that's happening on screen during those grand final tournaments. So there you have it for EVO Japan 2020. All in all, I'd say it's a very enjoyable event. Definitely worth the money considering the fact that it actually doesn't cost anything to take part. Now, I don't think that's because they don't want to charge money for the event. It's actually part of Japanese law. Like, if they charge entry fees, then it counts as gambling, and so we don't want it to turn into a gambling tournament, because if it's a gambling tournament, then they can't give prize money, so it's all very complicated. On the whole, I'd say I definitely enjoyed myself. Obviously, it's not the same size as something as like Tokyo Game Show or EVO World that actually happens in America. But generally speaking, this is a fighting gamers event. You're going to have the most fun if you play fighting games, or if you kind of enjoy fighting games or love fighting games. Because the only stalls that are really available for you to go shopping at are the Twitter booth. There was a booth for Tekken, the electronic smartphone card game, a place where you could look at gaming chairs, and the other places were arcade sticks and other arcade sticks and buttons. There was a booth for Arc System Works showing off the latest fighting game. There was a booth for SNK. They were holding tournaments and showing off the latest fighting game. If I were to compare it to something like the Street Fighter tournament at Tokyo Game Show, the main difference is that if you take part in the Street Fighter tournament, then you like get knocked out, then you can leave the tournament and you can go and enjoy Tokyo Game Show. This event is more of a fighting gamers event, and that's the whole point of it. They're not advertising it as this cool thing that has lots of other stuff that isn't fighting games. But if you're considering flying to Japan just to go to an event like this, then do keep in mind that once you're knocked out of your pools, there's not much else to do other than watch other people play fighting games, or go to the bring your own console zone and play more fighting games. Fortunately, because I am really into fighting games right now, it was fantastic because I played Street Fighter in the morning, I played BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle in the afternoon, then I watched other people play their matches. I went back the second day and I just watched lots of higher level people play their matches as well, watched the grand finals on the final day, and the rest of the time it was just hanging out with cool people and saying hello to many of you who came up to me and said hello and talked to me about the YouTube channel, which I really appreciate. Thank you so much for doing that. I guess if I had any criticisms, it's that the event feels a little budget for an event that's in its 3rd year. I've only been to EVO Japan in Fukuoka, but the original EVO Japan was the year before that in Tokyo, so they've had it once in Tokyo, once in Fukuoka, and then again here in Tokyo. Now, comparing it to EVO Japan 2019 in Fukuoka, I can say that it was definitely better run. Last year there were just issues like consoles were logging themselves out, or staff members were yelling out these names but they weren't saying them correctly. Things like that were fixed this year. As far as I could tell, there weren't significant issues with the consoles. When people didn't know how to pronounce someone's gamer tag or their actual real name, they would just write it on a whiteboard and they would just hold it up and show it around so that people nearby could read it, and then maybe they could yell out the name if they knew how to pronounce it. So in terms of running a tournament, there were no issues like that. The main criticism I have is that because you don't pay an entry fee to join the tournament, anyone can sign up, but you don't actually have to tell them if you're not actually going. You don't have to confirm. There's no like check-in a couple days before, a bit like, you know, when you check in for your flight 24 hours before the flight. And so the organizers have no idea how many setups they actually need and how much time they actually need. I'm pretty sure that the largest number of entrants actually came from Super Smash Bros. And although I'm sure that a large number of them did show up, I'm pretty sure that a large number of them didn't, because while we were squashed into this tiny little zone for the Street Fighter V pools, right next to us was a space at least double the size of the Street Fighter V area, and it was completely empty. And so there was just this empty zone with nothing happening next to us, and obviously they couldn't put up new PlayStations there because they've got a limited number of PlayStations. People are very tempted to just sign up for free and not actually show up, which means that you end up with space being completely wasted. But then actually during the Street Fighter V pools, and I actually spoke to people who said they actually got their arms bumped by people who were just standing too close because there's just no space. Not only are the people standing around waiting for their match, but there's also people who just want to see the matches because it's exciting. There's players from all over the world sitting in front of you, literally a few centimeters away from you, playing these games. It's exciting, but it gets really crowded. When $9,000 are on the line, you don't want to be bumped in the arm by someone in your pools. I don't know, it just seems like a shame that that should be a problem. Because space was clearly not the issue. I could see plenty of empty space next to us. If there anything that I could change about EVO Japan, one would definitely be the space, but secondly, since most people are likely to lose out fairly early in the tournament, it would be nice if there was more for them to do other than just watch big screens and watch the matches, because most people, I think, want to check out the famous people while they're still in their pools, and that's why, and that helps to make it get extra crowded, right? So just speaking as a low-level competitor, such as myself, it would be really nice if after I lost, I could still stay in the area where pools are being played, but then have like a larger screen showing the matches, maybe just have a couple 42-inch plasma LCD TVs plugged into some of the setups and just make sure that the really famous people or the top seeded players are playing on the one that's hooked up to a big TV nearby. At least that would probably help with the overcrowding issue, and then also maybe if someone just got their phone out, they could be streaming on Twitch and then they could have these off-stream matches being streamed somewhere, I don't know. Other than that, I think something I'd really like would just for there to be more shops, more stuff that you could go and buy. Now the thing is, it's a fighting game tournament, which is kind of niche, and so it doesn't attract as many vendors maybe. But it just would have been nice after losing matches to have more stuff to do, more stuff to go and watch, more booths showing other games, mobile games, console games, indie games, anything. And I guess one of the ways to make it worth a vendor's time to put up a booth at a fighting game tournament like this would be to just collaborate with more gaming related stuff, which is why to be quite honest, I think I still enjoyed the Street Fighter tournament at Tokyo Game Show better. People who were interested in the tournament could come and watch for free anyway, and then people who lost at the Street Fighter tournament could get out of the way and go and enjoy some late breaking news about game announcements at Tokyo Game Show. But it is only the third year that EVO Japan has been running, so I'm certain that in the future it will just continue to get bigger and bigger, and then we'll look back on this video and be like, ha, remember when it was so quaint and so small and we had like 2 arcade stick manufacturers show up to show, to sell their stuff. In the future there'll be like 50, and there'll be all sorts of mobile games advertising this stuff and people showing off their latest indie stuff, and I don't know, we'll look back on this and be like, oh, it was so quaint when it started. So in summary, I guess, EVO Japan 2020, fantastic event if you're a fan of fighting games and you enjoy them. It's not exactly the event I would recommend to people if you're not really into playing the games yourself yet, but obviously I think this event will probably continue to get larger, and for now, basically if you want to support the event, I think definitely it's worth coming over to see it, but not just EVO Japan. If you're gonna come for an EVO Japan in the future, like plan EVO Japan, but make sure you stay for another week or two and explore Japan, explore Tokyo, check out all the other fighting game meetups that are happening here, get a feel for how strong the players and the communities are in Japan and how they compare to your community back home. I mean, it was definitely a step up from the event last year in Fukuoka, which I enjoyed, but I think this was definitely handled much better, and I'm so grateful that it was in Tokyo. I really hope that it just stays in Tokyo, because I think for an event as new as EVO Japan, it is only its third year. It makes more sense to just continue to do it in Tokyo, and then maybe if it continues to get bigger and attract more big name vendors and sponsors, then maybe after it gets huge and large, then it can start touring around Japan and being this thing that we get to experience, a new part of Japan every time EVO Japan happens every year. It's like, oh, this time it'll be in Fukuoka, next time it's in Hiroshima, and then after that it'll be in Hokkaido. It'd be cool to like tour around Japan. I think that's like kind of quite a cool idea, but not yet. I think keep it in Tokyo, let it grow, and it clearly is growing. So I'm looking forward to see how it grows in the future, and I'll definitely be taking part again. If you're interested in seeing more about EVO Japan, I have actually made videos in the previous year, in EVO Japan 2019, when it was running in Fukuoka, so you can watch those old videos and compare it to EVO Japan 2020, see which one you prefer. I really hope that they do keep it here in Tokyo. That's all for now. Don't forget to comment, subscribe, share the links and all that great stuff, and I'll see you in the next NihongoGamer video.